نحن أصحاب المعاني لسنا أصحاب الألفاظ. الألفاظ الجوفاء لا تجدي. انظر إلى المعنى.
The seventh question, inshallah, we'll come to a close shortly. The seventh question is regarding the issue of advising a person. A person, he says that I'm advising the ikhwan, I'm advising the tabligh, I'm advising these people, and he spends years and years and years and years in advising these people. So what is, and he sits with them giving them advice, and it's taking him years. So what is the advice? Is this the way that the Salaf were upon? Is this the way of the Salaf? And so the Shaykh responds, Al-munasahatu la budda an tantahi ila shay. He says, giving advice has to come to some conclusion. There has to be an end to this issue of giving advice. It can't be something that just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. It has to end and come to a conclusion. There has to be an outcome. He says it is either two things. Either the one advised, he accepts the advice and turns back to the truth, and then he follows the sabilul mu'mineen, he follows the path of the believers, and he adopts the sunnah. This is only one outcome. And the second outcome is al-inād wal-israr. He persists and he is stubborn. So he says advice must come to a conclusion. He says this affair isn't something that needs a great deal of time. Rather, in just a few sittings, the conclusion can be reached. In a few sittings. And in most cases, he says the only time in which it is allowed to prolong the advice, which is in very rare situations, which is where we have a person who is consumed in shubuhat. He is genuinely in the dark. And maybe we are close to him, there's some closeness that we have with him, and we want to show him some gentleness and softness and whatever. And so we engage with him, we give him some time, some space and whatever. In this type of situation, yes. But in most cases, this is not the case. And then he says, as for sitting with the people of innovation and, mixing with them and, persisting upon this, this is not from the way of the people of the Salaf, and we do not know this to be from the way up until this time of ours. And we conclude just with reading some narrations that is connected to this point, because this is a disease that we see some people suffering from who ascribe to the way of the Salaf. It's a disease. They say that I am upon the aqeedah of the Salaf, I am upon the manhaj of the Salaf. But in his company is only ever the people of innovation, people upon hizbiyah. And his advice is, his excuse, is what? I'm advising them. I'm advising them. I'm advising them. And he's been doing this for 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, 2 years. And we see here the way of the Salaf. As we said, the only exception, the only excuse is when you have someone who's genuinely consumed in shubuhat. You need to spend time with him. That's acceptable. But let's see how the Salaf would behave with the likes of this behavior. Al-Lalaka'i brings a narration from Abdullah bin Amr as-Sarkhusi, the scholar of Al-Khazar. He said, I ate a single meal with an innovator. I ate a meal with a mubtadi', and it reached Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. And Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak said, I will not speak to him for 30 days. Fahmt? This is the way of the Salaf, meaning. Ibn Waddah al-Qurtubi, he narrates from one of the Salaf. I was walking alongside Amr bin Ubaid al-Mu'tazili, from the heads of the Mu'tazila. And Ibn Awn, one of the Imams of Salaf, he saw me. Then he turned away from me for 2 months. For 2 months. Ibn Abi Hatim narrates from Abdul Aziz al-Uwaisi, who said, when Ismail bin Abi Uwais went out towards Hussein bin Abdullah bin Damira, and it reached Imam Malik, this was a person of deviation, Imam Malik, he boycotted him for 40 days because Malik was not pleased with Hussein. Abu Ja'far Muhammad bin al-Hasan bin Harun al-Mawsili said, I asked Abu Abdullah Ahmad bin Hanbal, I am from the people of Mosul, and the majority of the people in our town are Jahmiyyah. And the affair of Al-Karabisi was a man who raised this issue of the Quran. Is the recitation created, is it not created? He began to raise this issue. Then it reached certain towns. And this fitna reached the town of Mosul. So Imam Ahmad replied, beware of Al-Karabisi. Because he was from that town. He was in that area. Do not speak to him, and do not speak to whoever speaks to him. You understand? Do not speak to Al-Karabisi, and anyone you see speaking to him, do not speak to him either. So I said to him, this statement, in your view, and whatever branches from it, is all from the saying of the Jahmiyyah? He said, yes, all of this is from the saying of Jahm bin Safwan. Al-Fudail bin Iyāḍ said, whoever sits with a person of innovation, then beware of him. And whoever sits with a person of innovation has not been given wisdom. Ibrahim bin Maysara, whoever honors an innovator, has aided in the destruction of Islam, and to the end of what has been said. Now there are some other important questions that we haven't managed to complete, inshallah ta'ala, maybe tomorrow. And there are some more questions from the Shaykh that deal with, for example, if you have someone who's upon misguidance in your family, who's your brother, your sister, how do we deal with such a person? There are some important answers like this, inshallah. Maybe we will conclude with this as part of tomorrow's lesson. We will conclude here today, inshallah ta'ala, and I hope that we've taken some benefit from the kalam of the Shaykh and see how this relates to the asal that we discussed yesterday of al-wala wal-bara. That if you don't implement these usul that we have learnt, then there is a corruption in your wala and bara. And therefore there is a weakness in your handhold of Islam, because this is your handhold of Islam, because these are the ways through which misguidance comes to you. So with that we conclude. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أحسن الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Inshallah, we're going to continue with where we left off from yesterday's lesson. In yesterday's lesson, we went through some questions and answers from Shaykh Ubaid al-Jabiri, حفظه تعالى, regarding how do we behave and how do we interact in different situations as it relates to the people of innovation. And so today we have maybe 6 or 7 more questions to complete on the same topic. And again, the important and key thing that we want to pick out from all of this discussion is certain principles and certain guidelines which guide our behavior, our interaction with people of different categories or people of different types. And so we want to pick out these usul or these principles so that we are not violating that which we mentioned in the first lesson, which is the principle of al-wala wal-bara, and loving and hating for the sake of Allah, and making loyalty and disloyalty for the sake of Allah, and choosing one's friends for the sake of Allah, so that we are acting in accordance with that principle in all of our situations.